There is a small rectangle in your wallet, not the glass one everyone stares at. A different rectangle, a thin, flat piece of plastic. And with this rectangle, you can buy anything. Anything at all. With money you do not have. And everyone acts like this is completely normal. I have questions. I first encountered this device on my second week here. A young woman in a shop pulled one out of her bag, tapped it against a small machine, and walked out with $300 worth of items without exchanging a single coin. I stopped her outside. I said, "Forgive me. Did you just pay for those items?" She said, "Yeah, I put it on my card." I said, "But no money changed hands." She said, "That's kind of the point." I said, "Where does the money come from?" She thought about this for slightly too long. Then she said, "The bank?" I said, "And when do you pay the bank?" She said, "Later." I said, "How much later?" She said, "I try not to think about it." She walked away. I stood on the pavement for a very long time. I decided I needed one immediately. The process of acquiring a credit card in your century is its own remarkable experience. You fill out a form. The bank investigates your entire financial history. They look at how much money you have, how much money you owe, whether you have borrowed money before, whether you paid it back. And then, based on this thorough investigation of your financial character, they decide how much money you are allowed to borrow from them at interest. In my time, we called this a moneylender. We did not trust moneylenders. We wrote cautionary plays about moneylenders. Here you apply for one online in 4 minutes and receive a welcome bonus. I applied. I was approved. They gave me a credit limit of $3,000. They sent me a card with my name on it. They included a letter congratulating me, as if I had won something. I had not won something. I had acquired debt with extra steps, but I appreciated the congratulations. Then I discovered the interest rate. For those unfamiliar, when you borrow money on a credit card and do not pay it back immediately, the bank charges you extra money for the privilege of owing them money. This is called interest. My card had an interest rate of 24% annually. 24%. I did the mathematics. I sat with the mathematics for a considerable amount of time. I thought about the young woman outside the shop. I thought about her trying not to think about it. I understood completely. But here is where it gets truly extraordinary. I went online to research credit cards, and I discovered that there are not just credit cards. There are thousands of credit cards, each with different rules, different interest rates, different rewards, different fees for paying the fees. Some cards give you points when you spend money, points that can be exchanged for flights, or hotel rooms, or more things to buy with money you do not have. So, you are borrowing money you do not have, to spend on things you may not need in order to accumulate points that allow you to borrow more experiences using credit. To pay for the points, I had to lie down. Then I discovered buy now, pay later. This is a newer innovation, even more elegant in its audacity than the credit card. Buy now, pay later means exactly what it says. You buy something now, you pay for it later, in installments, small, manageable pieces, so that the full horror of what you have spent never fully arrives all at once. It arrives in gentle, monthly increments, like a very polite financial catastrophe, knocking softly on your door every 30 days. Just to remind you, it exists. I watched a young man buy a pair of shoes for $200 using buy now, pay later. I said, "Do you have $200? He said, "Not exactly." I said, "Do you need those shoes?" He looked at the shoes. He looked at me. He said, "They were on sale." I had no response to this. The shoes were very nice. Then I discovered something called a credit score. In your civilization, every financial decision you have ever made is tracked, recorded, evaluated, and given a number. This number, your credit score, determines everything. Whether you can rent a home, whether you can buy a car, whether a bank will lend you money, whether another bank will lend you more money to pay back the first bank. The higher your score, the more money you are allowed to borrow. The more money you borrow, the higher your score can go, as long as you pay it back, but not too quickly, because paying everything back immediately also affects your score negatively. In some circumstances, I want to be very clear about what I'm saying here. In your civilization, the optimal financial behavior is to borrow money, spend it, pay it back, slowly, but not too slowly, while also borrowing more from different sources, simultaneously. This is considered responsible. This is considered good with money. In my time, we called this being in debt. Here you call it building credit. Same thing, different font. Then I made a mistake. I used the card. Just once, to see what it felt like. I bought a coat, a very fine coat, $340. I tapped the card against the machine. The machine made a pleasant sound. The coat was mine. No money left my hands, no coin exchanged, just a pleasant sound. And a coat. I understand now. I understand completely why your civilization has embraced this system with such enthusiasm. It does not feel like spending money. It feels like receiving a coat. The money part happens later, in a letter that arrives quiet when you are not expecting it, containing a number that is somehow larger than the coat. I paid the letter immediately, in full, because I have read the cautionary plays about moneylenders, and I know how they end. Here is what I want to say to you seriously, because I have spent weeks now watching how your civilization relates to money, and I have noticed something. In my time, debt was a last resort, a desperate measure, something that happened to you, not something you chose. Here, debt is a tool, a lifestyle accessory, something you manage and optimize and restructure and refinance, something you carry the way you carry a phone, constantly, casually, without thinking too much about it. And I am not here to tell you this is wrong. I am a man from the 1800s. I have no authority over your financial decisions. I own a coat I technically paid interest on. But I will say this, that young woman outside the shop, the one who told me she tries not to think about it. I think about her sometimes. I hope she is all right. I hope the things she bought were worth it. I hope she is not still paying for them, because in my time, we had a saying, if you cannot afford it today, you cannot afford it. Your time has a different saying, tap to pay, contactless, no PIN required. Both are true, depending on how you look at it. And next week, I will be investigating something arguably more disturbing than debt, something your civilization has embraced with equal enthusiasm, something that involves leaves, deliberately eaten. In place of actual food, it is called a diet. I have already done preliminary research. I found something called kale. I have questions about kale. Many questions. None of them have satisfying answers. Good evening.